Hi everyone, I am jumping on and I want to first thank everyone for stopping in today. I forgot to share this on my page, but that's okay. But I want to say thank you all for stopping in today, jumping in and watching and joining me today as I'm going to be sharing out with everyone how you can have some quick strategies that you can use at the beginning of the school year. I know many of you all are returning back to school this tomorrow, and some of you all, like myself, have a couple more weeks, and some may be going after Labor Day. So I want to make sure that before we dive into the school year, that I'm giving you some quick strategies. And this is a very unconventional strategy that I'm giving you because it is more so geared towards lesson planning and the temptation of going on website like worksheet websites like Teacher Pay Teachers, and printing out everything thinking it's going to solve your issues or concerns about planning. So I hope you all are having a fantastic evening. The second thing is I want to celebrate the people of the educators rather in my program, the ESL Teacher Master Plan. They are fantastic. They've been working so hard. So I usually do the raffle privately in the group, but I wanted to celebrate all of them today. And one of the things that we do is that we have a game board, and in the game board we celebrate our progress. It's a little steps, just the same thing with you all. It's little steps that you can take every day. So I want to celebrate all of them for doing a fantastic job. And one of the ways we do that is with a raffle. So I also, if you're watching and you're in the program, the game board template that we use is available on the course platform under bonuses. And if you all see me looking over it, just because I have, of course, my notes. And in a few days, Teacher Pay Teacher is about to have a bonus sale. So if you're like me, you're adding things to your cart. So today, what we are going to be raffling off is Teacher Pay Teacher gift cards. And it's funny because I was going to do 6 gift cards for $10 each, and we had 6 people that submit. But I'm still going to, I am still going to click the thing, and we're just going to go through it. So each of them are going to get a gift card. So shout out to Betty. Betty has been doing a fantastic job. She will be getting a $10 gift card to Teachers Pay Teachers. And if by any chance I forgot your name on the game board, please let me know. Shout out to Valerie. You are doing fantastic, and I'm really proud of all of the hard work that you have put in. So shout out to Valerie for her game board. The next person who is getting a $10 gift card from Teacher Pay Teacher is Andrea. Andrea starts school tomorrow. So Andrea, you've been putting in a lot of hard work as well. Just remember, it's okay to feel a little bit jittery on the first day of school, but I just want you to know that you got this and to be confident. Okay, so who is our next winner? I love using this in my class, by the way. That will also be getting a a $10 gift card to Teacher Pay Teacher that she can use in the sale this week. So it is going to go a long way this week. Let's see who's our next person. Okay, Lori. Oh my goodness, fantastic. Lori, I'm sure is deep into the school year already, but she's been doing a fantastic job as well. And Daniel, I think Daniel is a new teacher. But shout out to Daniel. So shout out to all y'all for doing a fantastic job this school year. So one of the things that I'm going to be talking about today is about working hard and getting prepared for this upcoming school year and researching how to support your students. And one of the things that I've noticed is that a lot of people, a lot of teachers rather, I'm not going to say people, be very specific, a lot of ESL educators rather have been asking, is there some Teacher Pay Teacher resources that I can purchase? That is something really common in the group. And you're probably wondering, why am I talking about this? And I'm going to tell you why I'm talking about this. Is because one of the things that I want you all to be very aware of when you all are preparing for the school year is to be mindful about what you're purchasing and your lesson planning and all of that good stuff. And I'm going to be sharing into details how that ties into your lesson planning in a moment. I'm actually going to jump over to my lesson plans for the school year. As you can see, this is my first week's lesson plan, but I'm going to jump over to this one for the school year. And I'm going to talk about what I mean by this in a moment. But you all have been working really hard in getting prepared for the upcoming school year. And a lot of times I've seen these groups, oh, is there something that I can purchase? Is there like an ESL resource or a bundle or a packet or something that I can purchase for my students? And then there are teachers that come on and they recommend these amazing bundles for their newcomers and for their students. And that is great. The problem comes into play is that when you download these bundles and you don't create any lesson plans to accompany them. And what I mean by that is that if you are downloading a newcomer bundle, make sure that you create very specific lessons to support them. And let me share with you what I mean by that. When I first started teaching, and even recently as a few years ago, I was downloading bundles from Teachers Pay Teachers. And I was thinking, okay, that's going to solve all of my problems. I don't have to worry about anything. I don't have to do anything. I have this bundle. Life is good. And then I would start to teach, and I realized that I hadn't taken time to look through the bundle. I hadn't taken the time to plan my lessons. I hadn't taken the time to look at the worksheets. I just printed it and went and didn't take the time to do any of that. And that led me to be confused, to be scattered, to be frustrated. And then I end up in this vicious cycle of what I call paying and printing. So I would go to Teacher Pay Teachers and print something else out, or I go to a worksheet site and print something else out. And I was just in this cycle. And I really want to encourage you all this upcoming school year. There are a lot of great sales. I have some things that I bought from Teachers Pay Teachers that are in my cart right now as I speak, but I want to share with you a strategy that I use when I am preparing for the upcoming school year. When I do have those sales coming up, what do I do? How do I prepare for it? And I realized this when I was purchasing items and worksheets and bundles from Teachers Pay Teachers, and I did not have a plan to go on with it. I realized that, okay, this is a problem. And this is something really simple that I can solve, is that I can then create a long-range plan for the school year. And then what I can do is then I'll go back and see, Millicent, what do you want to create? What do you want to wait on? All of that good stuff. So as you can see right here as an example, this is my long-range curriculum for my ELA, low intermediate to high advanced ESL students for the school year. Remember, if you're in my program, the ESL Teacher Master Plan, this is actually, I uploaded this example in Module 1. So you can see this exact example. You can download it as well if you want to play around with it. But it is, if you're in the program, you do have access to this curriculum guide. So what you see right here, this is my long-range curriculum for the school year, for the first 2 semesters rather. One reason why I did it for the first 2 semesters is because honestly I don't know what in the world is going to happen after December, so I didn't want to plan too far ahead, so finding that balance. So what I did was, and of course I'm not teaching the program how to do this step by step, but what I do is that you see right here, I have mini lessons and topics. And in these mini lessons and topics, I ask myself a very simple question. Do I want to create a resource on main idea and details, or do I just want to pay $6 for the resources? And sometimes this really just takes me thinking, okay, are there really any resources out there that if I do buy it, can I easily tailor it to the needs of my students? And there are some really great sellers out there I love. One of my favorites for ESL Her name is Deb Hansen. She does this called Crafting Connections on TPT. I love her bundles. One of the reasons why is because when I get her bundles, she has PowerPoints included. That's a big thing for me. So as a teacher, especially in middle school, when I'm looking to purchase things from Teachers Pay Teachers, I ask myself, okay, is it going to include a PowerPoint? Is it going to make my life easier? If I have to buy something, do I have to recreate the wheel? And so those are things that I'm asking myself before I even purchase anything from Teachers Pay Teachers. And I really want you to really think about this. Like I said, they have a sale coming up. It's going to be really tempting to put everything in your cart. But I really want you to be thinking about this as you're starting the school year. And think about, can I use this again for the upcoming school year? So first things first is make sure before you even dive into the school year, make sure that you create a long-range curriculum. If it's even just for the first quarter, just create a long-range curriculum for the school year. And then fill in like the skills and the topics and all of that good stuff. And then after you do that, then you can go back and then you can say, okay, I don't mind going to Teachers Pay Teacher and buying this bundle. Here's another good example. I use Quick Writes. I sell this in my Teacher Pay Teacher store, but Quick Writes are really huge in 8th grade. And what I've done is that I've went and I created, because I couldn't find any Quick Writes that were tailored to the needs of my students, I actually had to go and create a Quick Write set for my students. So that is a good example of what I mean about how to do that. Andrea says, are your anchor texts online or are you using a textbook? Students did not pick up textbooks and will not be able to share when we go back. Yes, so those anchor texts are attached to an online textbook that I do have. But Andrea, really quickly, I want to flip over. I have done 2 long-range plans. I have an ELD class this school year. And as you can see, Andrea, on this one that I did for the school year, these anchor texts are, let me go down. These anchor texts right here are connected to Reading A to Z. Reading A to Z, I'm sure you all have heard of. If you've not, it's a really great resource that you can use with your students. But these are resources and anchor texts, Andrea, that I pull from my ELD class from Reading A to Z. As you can see, the topic that I'm teaching in ELA is the Holocaust, and the topic that I'm still teaching in ELD is the Holocaust, but I'm pulling in level text to support my students. And so I'm pulling those texts from Reading A to Z. So that may be a second resource that you can use for your students if you don't have a textbook. I like it. I love Reading A to Z. I would just say, just be mindful. If you're elementary, you're good. But in middle and high school, just want to make sure that the texts are appropriate for your students and that they're not, too, the kids call them too kiddie or feel too kiddie. So that's really important as well. So the next thing that I want to talk about with you all is that when you are planning for the school year, you really want to make sure as well, I broke down about the Teacher Pay Teacher store, but make sure that you find those lessons that include those lesson plans and those PowerPoints. And even if they have lesson plans, make sure you take the time to look and plan it and tailor it to the needs of your students. The next thing that I want to share with you all is, and of course, this is one that I've done. It's in the program as well. You'll have access to this. But this one that I have done is for my virtual logical consequences. So before I even plan for the upcoming school year, one of the things that I really encourage all the educators in my program to do is to plan their virtual classroom management out. Now, I've talked about this. I did a podcast last week on this. I'll make sure to link it as well. But when you are doing your classroom management plan, you still need to do that. Like, I teach doing the classroom management plan before even diving into the curriculum, because it sets up the structure for your upcoming school year. So make sure that you take the time to plan out your classroom management. And what I mean by that is How is it going to look like when your students enter the classroom? How is it going to look like when they're sitting down? What are you going to do for your rules and your procedures? So planning all of that out is really important for this upcoming school year. And so here is an attachment that I create as well, is like the student behavior and the consequences. And so I wanted to be sure, shout out to Lori for reminding me to do this, because I had one for in person, but I definitely need to do one for virtual. And as you can see here, that I've taken the time and I've thought about all of the student behaviors and then breaking down, okay, what are the consequences for those behaviors as well. So just make sure that you're thinking about that and you are planning for that as well for the upcoming school year. And I do teach how you can do that in the program. I'm going to switch over to, I know Bitmoji has been really huge for this school year, and I am loving it. It is extremely addictive and it is a lot of fun. With that being said, is that one of the ways that I am building relationships this school year is I still have daily messages. Now, you may have heard me talk about daily messages before, but what a daily message is to me and what it means to me is it's a time for me to connect with my students. And it's going to be a little bit difficult this year doing it virtually, because we're going to be all virtual for the upcoming school year. But one of the ways that I want to continue and bring over what I'm doing in my classroom to what I'm doing in person is doing a Bitmoji daily message for my students. And let me go ahead. This is the one that I share in the program as the template. Let me switch over. I think you all can see this. And here's mine for what I'm going to do with the students. And in here, I'm just greeting the students. I'm just telling them about myself. I ask them a question. I encourage engagement with them while I'm doing this. So one of the things that I want you to do is, as you're planning for the upcoming school year, still plan on building engagement with your students. Still take time to do that. And if there were things that you were doing in person that you want to kind of bring over into your virtual classroom, I really encourage you to do this. This is something that I'm doing with my students as well in my virtual classroom, and that is still going to be just building relationships with them and taking the time to do that. Side note, shout out to my ESL teacher coach. She's great. She came in, she saw the daily message, and she was like, Millie, one of the things that, and she gave me, I love feedback, and she gave me some really good feedback. And she said, why don't you, when you do your daily messages, why don't you show the students varying sentence lengths? Why can't you can show the students compound sentences, complex sentences, include all of those in the daily message. And that was a wonderful piece of advice, because I was just keeping them really simple. And as you can see in my daily messages, I have complex sentences for them. I have compound sentences. I include vocabulary words in there. So it is just a lot of things that you can do with your daily message for the school year, and it is a great way that you can build relationships with your students. So I wanted to share that with you all for the upcoming school year. Just if there's a sale for Teacher Pay Teacher coming up on the 18th, if you're going to buy things, just make sure that you are keeping them in line with whatever your long range plans for the school year, whatever your curriculum is for the school year. Just make sure that you're keeping it in line for that as well. Also, I also want you to know that create a classroom management plan this school year. Create one. Please create one. This is going to help you lay the foundation for the school year. It's going to keep everything structured. Just take the time to do that. So make sure that you do that. And my third tip going into the school year is be very intentional, even more intentional, with building relationships with your students. You see how I'm doing something that's trendy and I'm bringing it over and to something that I've done with the students as well. So I'm doing that by continuing my daily messages with the students, asking them questions, taking time to check in on them every morning to see how they are doing in the morning. So I would love to know what are some of your strategies that you're using for the upcoming school year as well. Betty asks, do you introduce the daily message after the do now? Yes. So just a quick rundown of what I do, Betty. When they come in for class in the morning, I have them check in, like they have a virtual check in where they sign in on their name. This year we're doing, of course, Microsoft, so it was before a Google Forms, but this year it'll be a Microsoft form. So on the check in, Betty, it just has their name because the date is going to automatically record, and then I'm asking them, okay, tell me how you're feeling this morning. Are you blah? Are you so? You're excited, and it's really interesting. At first, everybody kind of had the same responses, but then after building those relationships with them, they really became like, Miss Williams, I'm not feeling it today. And that's really important for you to know as a teacher, as a side note. So after they do the check in, then I have them do a do now. And then this is good for me. Like I've always told you all, I really struggle with taking attendance, because I'm all so wrapped up in the lesson and getting excited about the lesson. So having that do now gives me a time to do housekeeping, like if they have random questions and attendance. And so then after the do now, I do the daily message, and I let them read the daily message. I don't read it. They read it aloud to the class, and they love it. I know in middle school if they're going to love a daily message, I know they're going to love it in elementary, and I know they're going to love it in high school. A lot of times there's some days where I'm like, oh, I just want to read it, just read it and get it out the way. I just have those teacher moments, like I just need to get this out the way because I'm ready to dive into the lesson. But the kids always remind me, Miss Williams, can I read the message today? And then, or, they're really good about saying, okay, I want so-and-so to read after me. So it's really great. And then after I do the daily message, I do the agenda. And Betty, you've kind of seen how I've done it like in our PD sessions, how I do an agenda and how I break down, like this is everything I'm doing for the day. And side note, and Hannah, shout out to Hannah, she's on my friend's page, and if she's watching, she was my coach. She always gave me this really great tip about, I was so worried about getting done with the agenda, especially when visitors popped in, like if you have your principal popping in to observe you or other teachers popping in. And she always would say, okay, she would say to me, like, don't worry, just if you got through everything, just say you didn't get through everything on the agenda. I'm going on a small tangent, but she would say, just say, you know what, we needed some extra time doing this task, and that's okay. Tomorrow we'll pick up here. And that was a really great thing for people that were coming in watching me as well. And then after agenda, I just dive into the lesson as well. So that's how the structure, and I structured that every single class period. That's the structure of my class period. That's how I set it up. That's how I plan it out. As you can see right here, before I jump off, I'm going to share with you all my first week lesson plans. And one of the things that I do is that I break down that structure. I show them that structure. We practice that structure the first 2 weeks of school, even throughout the school year. Sometimes I find myself saying, you know what, we need to practice this a little bit more than what I think we need to practice, and that's okay. Before I go, I do want to share with you all, make sure, this ties into earlier, that you plan out your first week of lessons. As you can see here, this is usually I do a paper planner. This school year, I'm going to put it in here. I'm going to try to do it this way, and then I'm going to print it out. And I don't know if any of you all are happy planner people. I don't think I have mine with me. But then I'm going to take the disc and just pop it in my paper planner in that way, because I need something next to me while I'm working. So I'm going to try it this way this year. And this gives me a chance so I can link things and if I need to go back. But this is my first week of lesson plans that I'm doing for my students. I have the language objectives, as you can see. My first one, hope I can make it a tinge bigger. But as you can see on my first one, it says the listening. I can follow directions given by the teacher to practice our classroom procedures with the class. I mean, it's just that simple. That is what I'm going to be doing with them. And then I'm going to have, for the speaking part, I can explain the classroom procedures to the class using those sentence frames. So that's how I am planning. And as you can see right here, the formative assessment is going to be the students picking 2 procedures to explain to the class. So that's how I am breaking down my lessons. And I may have to make this a little bigger, maybe a tinge. Hope you all can see it. But you can see here, I broke down my lesson hook, and I'm going to have them do like a formal welcome and them share 3 highlights of the summer. And then I'm going to have them drop them in the comments and have them do a Wordle. I see a mistake I made. Let me. And a Wordle is basically like where they you take all the words and it creates like this infographic, and then that's going to be the hook. And after that, you see that I'm going to have them introduce myself to the students, and then I'm going to explain our digital expectations for the class. And then after that, I'm going to introduce the procedures and the consequences, and I'm going to do that through like funny memes and videos to kind of keep them engaged. And then after that, you see I have like a guided practice section where they're going to practice those digital expectations. They're going to practice those classroom procedures. And then you see I don't have all of my classroom procedures jammed in one day. I'm going to be breaking it down throughout the week. And then one of the things I'm going to be doing is entering the classroom. So I'm going to have them go out, come back in the classroom. I still want an attention signal because I need one. They may be working independently in their OneNote, and so I want to have some type of signal to kind of bring them back. We're going to talk about asking and answering questions. I'm going to show them how to navigate Teams. That's going to be in there. And then dismissal. I'm looking at this and I'm realizing I may not get to everything, but it's okay. I'll carry it over into the next day. But here, you see I have a reflection questions. What are some areas you are winning in the classroom procedures? And what are some areas of growth? I'm going to have them do a think, write, and share out to the class. And then independently, we're going to practice the digital expectations in the classroom procedures. And you see I have my closing activity. You're stuck here until, and then I'm going to have the students spin their classroom tools wheel, and then they're going to explain the 2 procedures before dismissal. They're going to pick any 2 and explain them. And so this is my first day of class. Now, one thing you notice here is very tempting. I love those worksheets that they have on Teacher Pay Teacher where you print and you go, but you don't see that in my first day of class. You see me building relationships with them. Yes, Andrea, I will upload this to the group, and you can have this if you all want it. I'll upload it just like this for you all, and you can chop out whatever you want to chop out and edit whatever you want to edit. But yes, so you see here, I'm not printing a lot of worksheets out and saying, hey, yeah, here you go. What I'm doing is very intentional for my first week. And it goes on throughout the week. There's going to be some fun stuff that they're doing. They're going to be chatting with each other in the chat box. They're going to list questions. They're going to be creating a Bitmoji PowerPoint and virtual locker. Like, they're going to be doing fun stuff. But my first week for me, is building those relationships and setting that foundation of creating the procedures and setting up the structure of my classroom. That's what I'm working on in the first couple of weeks of school. Even for my newcomers, I am doing this as well. I have them for 5th period and 6th period, so I have them back to back. So I'll upload that one as well, but it's looking very different for each one of them. So I wanted to share that with you all for this upcoming school year to give you some ideas and kind of get you going. The biggest takeaway from this is create a structure for your classroom and plan and be very intentional about your planning for the school year. So thank you all so much for jumping on. If you have questions, I'll upload this, of course, in our group. And I will make sure that you all get this if you want access to it. Yeah, Tatiana said we've been through a lot of trauma and great approach to the first couple of weeks of school. Thank you, Tatiana. Yeah, it really is. And getting the students ready and setting them up to where it's a safe space and building those relationships with them. And to me, is no stronger way or better way of building relationships with people by doing things. And if I just print them out some worksheets, and they're cute ones, and I've done it, and just say, hey, here's your first day activities. I want you to color in this worksheet, or I want you to fill out these 10 worksheets about yourself. That's not really building relationships with them. It's not. I know some people are, but to me, it's not. I mean, I'm building relationships with them by practicing, by talking to them, by them showing me something about themselves and applying that. That's how I'm building relationships with them throughout this process. So I really want to encourage you all to do that. So once again, thank you. If you all have any questions, drop those in the comments. I will make sure to upload this to our master planners group so you can have access. I'll do that before the evening. And once again, I hope you'll have a fantastic school year. Let me know how I can support you. If you all have any questions, please ask. Once again, thank you, and you all have a fantastic evening. Bye.